Right, Lee, let's get straight into all things Arsenal. Let's talk about the first kind of major Arsenal talking point of the last couple of days has been Gary Neville's comments about Arsene Wenger on Monday Night Football on Sky, and his stubbornness might be one word to use, but Gary has, talked about why Arsene hasn't signed someone basically to replace Patrick Vieira or someone of that ability or close to, and maybe question whether that's naivety or even arrogance. And it's caused a lot of headlines, and you've obviously made a small comment on it about it on Breeze Sport. What are your overall thoughts on it?
Well, I see where Gary's coming from. I don't agree with the word arrogance. Naivety, no, either. I think I understand what he's saying, and I'm surprised myself that 3 games into the season, the only signing is, albeit a world-class goalkeeper in Petr Cech. I thought there would have been another couple of signings at least, and I'm pretty sure that, in all honesty, that Arsene thinks the same. I'm pretty sure he would have gone into the transfer window, and let's not forget there's still a couple of days to go, because I'm pretty sure that 1 or 2 of the big clubs will go again. I think I'd be surprised if that was it, because you look at all the teams, and I think they all could do with something else. Something all looking to find that little something. As far as Arsenal is concerned, I'm surprised that there isn't been another signing, a Schneiderlin type. We've talked about him before. That type of holding midfield player. I thought he would have been absolutely perfect for Arsenal, and I don't know why Arsene's not involved in that process of trying to get him. Maybe he was. Maybe we don't know about that.
But just on that process, because I think Gary Neville certainly has a strong point there. Why you know Arsene very well, and I know this is difficult, but this isn't a problem that's just happened in this transfer window. And as you say, there's a few days left, so he might go and sign someone. But over these last few years, there seemed to be a reluctance to go out and sign that big money holding midfield player, and actually instead use other players to try and make it work. And where do you think it comes from? Is that a belief that he can turn those players into the player he wants, or he doesn't need it, or?
I think a bit the first. I think he thinks that he can develop somebody into that role. He kind of tripped up on Coquelin, it was a bit of a mistake. He came back and there was an injury and he got in the side and he's done exceptionally well, there's no doubt about that. But I don't think you can rely on him on his own in there. So I am hugely surprised. There's players, Kondogbia, there's Schneiderlin, there's Bender's brothers, there's people around. I think there's personnel around that would improve the team, and he always says that he won't sign anybody unless there's an improvement in the squad. Now, which suggests to me that for whatever reason he's tried and he's failed in bringing somebody to the club in that position, because I know Arsene well. He's an intelligent. He knows the game. There's no way he's looking at that squad, his squad, and going, fine in that position. That's fine. That'll last us a season. That's just not happening. So there's a reason why he hasn't signed anybody. He's very stubborn. I'll give if Gary Neville used that word, single-minded. There's lots of words you can describe Arsene, but I wouldn't have used the two, and that's why I sort of said, not jumped out and defended Arsene, just tried to give another. Well, I don't think it is arrogance. I don't think it's naivety. I think it's maybe something I don't know about him. But there's definitely a reason why he hasn't signed that player, and he might just think he's not out there. I mean, there's not many Patrick Vieiras around, so maybe his standards are really high unless he finds somebody like that. And the ability to go out and find a new Vieira, those days are gone, because everybody's out there looking. When Arsene came and brought Vieira, nobody knew about Vieira. There's very few players out there that you can do that with now, because the scouting systems are so vast that everybody's got the fingers in every pie and they know every market. So, and on the counter punch of Gary saying that, Man United have up until you might say Schneiderlin, and he's not a Roy Keane, but they haven't replaced Roy Keane since he left. So, in my opinion, yet they've still won trophies. So the argument flips back and say, well, Arsenal, and have only won a couple of FA Cups. So I do think they're short there, and they need to improve.
Do you think? Because I think part of where Gary's coming from is it's been over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So you're saying he'll look at the side and he'll look at it and go, we do need a holding midfield player, but it's been over a long period of time.
Well, he has tried. Gilberto Silva was there. He was playing with Patrick, but he was there for a while. Song was seen as a replacement, and he ended up leaving. Flamini's come in, and the argument is, well, you don't win the league with those players as your main number one holding player. Coquelin, I think, is going to be a really good player, and he already is doing a magnificent job. He did really well against Liverpool the other night. But if he gets injured, who's going to come in? Arteta? I don't think he can do that job anymore with his age and his injury problems. So they definitely need somebody.
And you talked about the only signing that Arsenal have made is Petr Cech, which is obviously a fantastic signing, 10 million or around about. And we have a few days left in the transfer window, and like you say, that there could well be a lot of activity, particularly from one or two of the bigger clubs, and Arsenal being one of them. But is that, as a fan, I noticed on Twitter a question from a fan was, is that acceptable for a club that wants to win the league to have only spent 10 million at this point? Now, I know that's a difficult question, but I can see where the fan's coming from. It's almost like, it looks like the only intention up till now has been to spend that amount of, or not that amount of money, but considerably less than what Man United have done, what Chelsea have done, what City will do. Yeah. Is that acceptable for a club that wants to be right at the top?
Well, have they improved since last season or the season before? And you say development-wise, probably yes, because a team that stays together will always get better because they learn each other and how they play, and they'll develop. But were they good enough to win the league, or challenge for the league the last couple of years? And the answer is no. You have to say that. So, I'm pretty sure if Arsene was sitting here now and we had a one-on-one with him, a private conversation about the team, he would probably convince me and you that he's got it all. Just relax, everything's in order, and in 2 days' time they might sign someone. Everyone go, or two players, and go, oh right, that's it, that's the final bit. But as it stands right now, signing, albeit a world-class goalkeeper, which is one of the biggest positions in a team, is a great signing. But is it enough to win the league? I don't think so. No.
So, okay, who would you have? What positions need to be filled out? Not an open checkbook, but a mighty big one. Who would you go for?
Well, I would have gone for Schneiderlin,
yeah,
no doubt. And that would have been my number one target. I think he's going to be a great player at Man United. I just like the way he plays, and I think he would have suited us. I think we need another striker. I always look at the defence and go, what's going on there? And we saw the other night that you need four centre backs. You need four centre backs that are comfortable in the team, coming straight in and being able to play, and that wasn't the case the other night. And I felt a bit sorry for Chambers. They haven't played much at all, and then all of a sudden he's thrown in and he looked a bit nervy. But you kept a clean sheet, so you have to say that he did his job in that respect. But you probably, I think, it's not an open checkbook, but I would sign another centre half. I'd sign the holding midfield player. We've missed out on the best one, I think. And I do think, and I've said it for a long time, and maybe going over old ground, but I don't think you win the league as Giroud as your number one. I like. I'm not saying I don't like him. You don't win the league with, one striker up front all season. Anybody, unless you're very, very lucky, and you keep him free from injury, and keep them fresh. And in this, where the league is now and how much demands with Champions League, etc., it's hard to do that. So you need somebody to be able to come in and fill the gap of 15, 20 goal person. Now, is that Theo Walcott? Wouldn't seem so, because I would have thought he'd have started the first game, and he didn't. So I think there's huge pressure on Giroud. He's not one of those players who you look at and go, right, he's done, that's it. There's always a little, and his goal record's very good. Does he get the big goals in the big games? You might argue and say no. So we need another striker.
So when you're talking about the guy, who positions you would fill, centre half, holding midfield player, centre forward.
I think you get away with a centre half. If you in the great scheme of things, you can put that one to one side.
Okay.
I think there's more important things than that. So,
but what I'm saying is, you've signed the goalkeeper, world-class goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Really, what you're talking about is signing and I'll make a comparison with Man City, a really stronger spine to the side.
Yeah.
Where if you look at Man City this year with Joe Hart, Company looks back to his best, Yaya is playing brilliantly, David Silva, Aguero, amazing spine to side, and maybe is that what Arsenal need?
Every team needs that.
Yeah.
You can look at any team that's won the league in the past and will win the league in the future, and you can go down the middle of your pitch and you can go, look at Chelsea last year, and then you look at the Arsenal teams I played in, and then you look at Man United when they were at their pomp. All of them, and you can, and it starts with a goalie. So we tick that box. They've all got, all of those teams that I mentioned have got first-class goalkeepers. Normally a first-class top of the draw striker, and then in the middle you've got somebody who can. I'd like to see. I'd like to see Ramsey move into the middle a bit more, and then maybe play Oxlade down the side. I think in certain games, Cazorla was brilliant last season, but I think from a strength point of view, he's not somebody you go, okay, right, if Coquelin's a bit out of position or something, how's that going to work? I think he can get bypassed a bit. And having said that, Ramsey, to me, I like him a lot, but he's not disciplined. That you tend to need to be in that midfield position. He will make his runs and sometimes be out of position because he's all over the place, which is good when you've got the ball, but when you haven't, I just think without the ball, we can be got at. Sorry.
You can't help that.
just goes with the territory, I'm afraid.